welcome back to For the Love of Retro. Now this week we have for you two new amazing games. Delta's Shadow for the ZX Spectrum Next, an amazing action platformer, and Randomazer. You have to see this one to believe it, an amazing puzzle game for the Atari ST. We open up the DOS Vault to revisit Degeneration, and also to review Space Cavern Blaster, an amazing addictive action platform. In our hardware review, we are looking into Super Everdrive, albeit the Asian version. Finally, in our history lesson, we examine the story behind the creation of the amazing Ultima IV by Richard Garriott and what led to the creation of this iconic RPG. So stop everything you're doing and welcome back to our channel. Sit back, relax, and let us enjoy another episode for the love of retro. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's go! Hello and welcome to this week's new retro software review. This week we have for you Delta's Shadow from Sync Layer. Now, Delta's Shadow now comes with its DLC packed called Guns and Gears, but we are reviewing the main game here. It's a game for the ZX Spectrum and the ZX Spectrum Next, which is the version we're reviewing. It's an action platformer adventure that needs fast reflexes. Your main weapon here, as you can see, is a boomerang of sorts. You get to collect power-ups and health power-ups. You have a special shoot. Your weapon behaves just like a boomerang, which means that it can hit the enemies on its way or on its way back. The graphics are very good, so is the animation, as you can see. There is a variety of enemies. The difficulty is pretty high. You need, like I said, fast reflexes. And you need to be really careful at the same time. You can swim, but there is an inertia factor here that will harass your movement. There's various settings like details and sound if you need to change any of these, but I didn't find any reason to do so. The enemies are pretty aggressive. There are environmental hazards like in most games of this kind. You need patience in some of the environmental traps and puzzles. Precision jumps. There is no problem with the collision detection. It's accurate, but in so many levels, like in this one, there's this multiple factors, such as the inertia of the water, let's say, and the enemy attacking you, that it's gonna make your life a bit difficult, but it's all part of the game. Now, like I said, the animation, the sound, the controls are all excellent. This is a very, very good game, very colorful, with a correct palette for the theme. It's been developed with a lot of love. I do know that there was a physical release as well. Oh dear. Also, like I said, there is a ZX Spectrum version, although it's for the TRS-DOS only, from what I know. I definitely recommend this game. It's very fun, albeit a bit hard, but it's one of the best games out there for the ZX Spectrum Next. Let's move on to our next game. Now, our next game is the amazing Randomazer for the Atari ST and STE. Now, it's better to run this game on an STE because, as you saw, it detects if you have a bleeder. And believe me, with the effects this game is pulling, you need that function. Now, it's a game by Collab, and there's also a boxed version, from what I know, published by Bitmapsoft. Now there's over 60 levels to play here. It's a very impressive game, really impressive, considering the fact that it's running on an Atari ST or STE. Some of the graphical tricks it pulls are really impressive. Now, the goal of the game is to lead the ball or balls, you get more than one later on, to the exit. You cannot manipulate the ball directly, but you can click the switches on the floor to guide the ball in a specific direction. Now you see in this round there are two balls that also collide with each other, besides the fact that they collide with the environment and the walls. Now, later on there are traps on the floor, there are bonuses to collect and activate. You can always, if you're really certain that you get it right, activate the fast forward to finish the round faster. There we go. You get a combined bonus. If you don't use the speed up, you get an extra bonus. Now, there are 3 balls here, as you can see. The graphics of the game obviously are simple, but at the same time they're really impressive what they pulled off here. The game is very addictive, it's very smart. I guarantee you that's one of those games that you always say one more round and you end up playing until 5 o'clock in the morning. I definitely recommend it. The music, the animation, everything is excellent. The controls are easy to learn. It's an amazing puzzle game. Definitely try it out. And I recommend it. Let's move on to our next section. Hello and welcome to this week's hardware review. Now this week we have the second to last from the series of Asian clones that we're examining. This is the Super Everdrive version 3. It's another one of those clone cartridges from Asian online markets, and we are going to test drive it and see if it holds up to the original cartridge and if it's any good as as its value for usefulness. So it's a well enough construction. It's a plastic, all right, and the sticker is obviously laser print. Now there is an SD card slot here. There's not much else to it. I mean, in contrast with the other cartridges we have reviewed, there are no reset switches or Game Genie switches and stuff like that. It's a very plain device, and to be honest, the construction of this one is a little bit on the cheap side. Of course, it's a quarter of the price of the original Everdrive, but let's see if that's good enough for someone to purchase it. So let's go examine it. So this is the main menu. Up and down to choose a directory, and left and right for page up and down. Don't have enough games here. Load and start, or just load, or see the hex editor. Just see it, can't really change anything. Now you see there's this process. This is a small game, so it's the process of erasing the previous one and flashing a new one is pretty fast. Now keep in mind that the bigger the game, the longer it takes to erase and flash a new one. This is especially noticeable when you load later games that were on the 16 or more megabits. Now, let's go back to the menu. As you can see, the menu is really simple. Nothing special about it, not many functions. Let's try and load a bigger game here. I think Dungeon Master is a bigger one. Now see, the process here will take longer. There. It is a bit, I don't know, inconvenient. Of course, this is in accordance to the price of the cartridge, but we're here to review it. So, after you load a game, you won't be facing any problems. The games run quite stably. There are no problems, no bugs, no hassle of any kind. But there are no special functions, like I said. You don't get to intervene in the middle of the game with any special menus. Let's go and see a couple of functions more on the main menu. Okay, here we also have cheats and options. The options just show you these, and cheats are the classic Game Genie cheats that you have to input yourself. Device info and about is exactly what they say. So a pretty plain menu for a pretty plain cartridge. Let's go and sum it up. All in all, we would say that this is a cheap device, but unfortunately it also feels cheap. There are the basic functions. There's the delayance, which is pretty significant. The user interface is pretty basic. A lot of the special functions of the original cartridge are missing. Now, if you're in a really tight budget, sure, it's a good alternative. But if you really want to make the most out of your Super NES and you want to enjoy quality gaming and other functions that these cartridges provide, I wouldn't really recommend it. I know this is in contrast to the other cartridges we have reviewed, but the difference in quality here and what it provides for its money is, well, it's really low. So only if you are in a really tight budget and all you want to do is play your old games without the hassle of using your original cartridges and running the potential risk of damaging them, only then I can recommend this. Otherwise, go for the authentic one. And I'll see you next week. Hello and welcome to this week's DOSVolt. We begin with Degeneration, a game by Robert Cook, published by Mindscape back in the distant 1991. It's an action-adventure that also includes a lot of environmental puzzles for you. It's a classic game that came out on multiple platforms, including Amiga, CD32, Atari ST, and I've learned that there is an Atari VCS version, and I'm gonna look for it for a future review. Now, this game is an unforgiving action-adventure. It's a bit on the tough side. Well, not just a bit. Your mission here is as a courier of a corporation to bring a package to a certain mysterious scientist named Derrida in this huge skyscraper. Now, the moment you land here, you realize that something has gone wrong, as the security systems seem to have gone berserk. Now, you get to rescue some of the scientists and the employees of the building. At the same time, you need to disable security systems, avoid laser cannons from blasting you, watch out for dangerous laser floors, read emails to figure out what is going on exactly. Also, you can talk to the persons you rescue and they will give you some more information. You get to collect security cards in order to open different kind of doors or push switches. Now, as you can see, losing in Degeneration is pretty easy. You have a lot of lives, but it's pretty easy to lose them. Now, see here, thankfully, when you begin a conversation, the game pauses. But the first thing I should do now is run diagonally so as there to escape certain death. Now, the graphics are very well animated, and the palette is excellent. Oh, there goes the hostage. Now, oh, there goes me too. The sound, the music, everything is on a very high level. It's one of the prettier games of its kind. You get to meet some automated robotic systems with various shapes and sizes. The main problem of the game is its controls. If you play it on a platform like CD32 or even an Amiga or Atari, because you can use joysticks or gamepad, it's much easier to navigate the character. On the PC version, on the MS-DOS version, the joysticks back in those days were a bit, well, you know, quirky. So most of us played this game back in the day with a keyboard, including myself, and I'm playing in this video with a keyboard as well. That's why you see me walking like a drunkard sometimes. Now, it is really tough because of the isometric view to guide your character correctly. So this is game's biggest problem, I would dare say. The fact that you have to face not just the enemies and the puzzles, but the controls as well. If you get used to them and you get beyond that point, you will really enjoy the game. See here, this is one of the classic puzzles. In order to clear all the enemies in the room for a certain door to open. I do believe it's going to give you a lot of fun. There's also a remake for Microsoft Windows and Nintendo Switch out there, but this is the DOS Vault. We go classic. It's a game that's really worth your time. I definitely recommend that you give it a try if you haven't back in the day. And if you did, you can revisit it now, older and wiser. It's a very good game. And with that said, let's move on to our next game by Dotmosh, named Space Cavern Blaster. Now, Space Cavern Blaster is, how should I put it? It looks like a simple platformer. Very simple. When you begin, you might also be confused to think that, oh wait, this is a way to playing a game. How is that going to be any fun? And yes, initially it does look like it. But the game, which by the way is extremely fast, as you move along, it becomes much more complicated to finish a round. You have to collect all these coins in order to finish a round. This is a more advanced stage, and as you can see, there are enemies going about. There are switches that you must turn on in a specific order to make your life easier. The game becomes devilishly hard sometimes, but not unfair, never unfair. You do have to be very quick. It needs really good reflexes. It's very well designed. The stages are really smart in their design. I believe that the simple graphics are adding up to the atmosphere of the game. It does remind me of games like Meat Boy, Super Meat Boy, but or Cave Story, you know. But as we know from these games, sometimes simplicity is a good thing in this type of games, and this is one of these cases. The game is really fun. It's really addictive. It's very simple to control. Left, right, jump, down to switch on or off any kind of levers you see, and the fire button. Your blasters, the shots from your blaster are limited, but you do get to collect more. It's a simple enough premise, but the excellent design makes it very addictive. It's one of those games, you know, that you say just one more round, and after that I'll quit, but you never do. It's by Dotmos. I definitely recommend it. It's also out for Amiga 500, Atari ST, Commodore 64, and Sega Mega Drive and Genesis. Don't let its simple graphics fool you. This is one of the best games for the MS-DOS out there, one of the best new homebrew games. You don't want to miss out on this one. You will be missing out if you do. And, well, I'll see you in the next DOS Vault. Let's move on now. Welcome to this week's history lesson, and this week we are discussing Ultima IV, the interesting story behind its creation in the game by Origin, the once legendary company led by Richard Garriott. Now, the first 3 games of Ultima Trilogy were an unexpected hit, but it wouldn't be until number 3 that Richard Garriott would gain control of his IP. Now, the first game in the series, as you all know, was a Calabeth, World of Doom. It was a game that Richard Garriott sold in his free time while working on a computer shop. Now, afterwards came Ultima 1, 2, and 3, and when the time came to design 4, there was something bothering him. For the first time, Richard Garriott received mail from fans, and among them, there were mail from some parents and some of them were really enraged. Because, according to them, in his games, the Ultima games, there were many immoral actions. You know, your character got to steal, kill, and maim, and you could even do that to, innocent characters in the game. And some of those actions were necessary in order to win the game. But that was a trend in most RPGs back in those days, and he was just following the trend. Now Richard, being, the Grand Lord British that we all know, and by the way, the name British was given to him by his Dungeons and Dragons pals, because he was born in Cambridge, but from American parents, and he holds dual citizenship for that reason. Now, leaving the nickname behind, that led him to create the story of Ultima IV. He took to heart all the complaints from parents and fans, and he created an RPG where the ethical decisions of the character matter much more than the battle. The battle becomes, a guest star, I would almost call it, takes backseat in the game. The game is all about choices and whether your character will have moral or amoral behavior. Of course, that's why it's called the quest for the Avatar, as the Avatar in the Ultima games symbolizes the pure, supreme hero. Now, the game not only succeeded in putting the fans' worries at ease and the parents, not only made Garriott a famous character, but also became the most successful game for a long time in the Ultima series. It even managed to enchant Scorpia, one of the most strict reviewers at the time. So that was the story of how the first game with moral choices came to be by Lord British. Join us next week for another quick, quirky, and interesting history lesson. Bye! Well, don't miss our next episode. Catch you later.